guys, I got another Norseman in. I took 4 pictures this time. I'm gonna post them up on Instagram. This thing was really bad. I've been working on it for, I'd say 20, 30 minutes now. And I'm only just resetting angles. So what happened was the owner, there's still low spots. I can still see him. The owner of this Norseman sharpened it on a wicked edge. I just spoke to him on the phone, and I was calling him, telling him, I was like, this is not going to be, I have to do a lot of rectification. So what happened was, these stones don't fit the radius of this. Like I said in the last video I did. So what he did was, he kept going on it, and when he would get into these areas where it would kick up, it would kick the corner of the stone in. So there's a low spot here, there's a low spot here. Every time that makes that curve. So he's only actually using the corners, and then when he gets in an area where it kicks up, it was nice and shiny, but the fact is, if you were to look at it, there was a high spot here, and a low flattened spot in the middle. So I gotta try and rectify this. Let me get live chat set up. I don't know how long my live feed's gonna hold up. We'll do this as long as the Wi-Fi holds up. But yeah, this is one of those things that I get a lot of these things that come in like this that need repairs. Hey Joshua, this is the second live feed for today. I was planning on shooting a video, but I realized how bad this was, and I know it was gonna take a little while, so I figured we'll see how long this takes me, but there's a good chance that I'm not gonna be able to do that video I wanna do because I'm stuck working on this. And like I said, I've already been working on it, well, basically since I ended the live feed. I had a phone call in there, so I've probably been working on it for about 30 minutes total. So this is not just sharpening. This is sharpening and this is not just sharpening. This is sharpening and repair. And I know that trips you guys out when I do this where I don't look, but I'm really trying to just feel if I've got that point kicked off. I'm gonna have to take a lot of material off. Okay, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about where I say low spots. This should work. Let's turn this around. Can you see? Let me see. See how there's a low spot right there? And then there's another one where there's a shiny spot behind the edge right there. Right there it is, right there, real clear. Low spot. Because the stone that was used was not the proper type of stone. Like I said, if you're doing a recurve, guys, you gotta use something narrow to get down in that radius. There's just there's no way around it. You just have to. And you can't do that forward edge on a wicked edge or an edge pro. It just isn't gonna work. I'm hot, I'm sweating. It was in the 50s when I first got up this morning, and now it's 70. So it was in the 60s earlier, 50s and 60s, until just a few minutes ago. And it's starting to warm up quickly. So yeah, and then I have to repair the forward edge because this isn't gonna show up. I don't think this is gonna show up. I have some pictures of it that I showed on Instagram. Actually, there's some spots up here on this forward edge where I just took my thumbnail and I was able to push, there we go. Yeah, I just did it again. I was able to push the edge over. It's too thin. It's too thin. That was not meant to be one consistent angle. It makes it too thin behind the edge. You've gotta do I'm gonna have to basically recurve that, or convex that. So this is not gonna be quick, and it's not gonna be cheap. I mean, these knives already cost, because of the level of difficulty and things like that, these recurve Tontos like this start at 45 bucks. Norsemen start at 45. Other recurve Tontos that don't necessarily have a convex at the very front, that's such a pain, I can do, with the regular Tonto price, but wow, it is really low behind there. So, what's everybody doing besides working? Because that's what I'm doing. Man. Oh man, it's gonna be a while. So the last one I had to fix was about, I think the video was 54 or 55 minutes long. I got a sneaking suspicion this would be longer if I was going to film the whole thing. I just wanted to bring you guys along and just kind of re-emphasize. Guys, I'm not saying send it to me. That's not what I'm trying to get across, that everybody should send me their Norseman. I'd love it. But the fact is, this knife was made in August. The guy had it for like 4 days. Screwed the edge up. And if you're out there, I'm not picking. I'm just trying to show how easy it is to get a system and think, oh, I've got a wicked edge, I can sharpen everything. And you can't. You can't. There's limitations. Wicked edge stones, they're too wide. Edge Pro stones, they come with a 1/2 inch. I would really like to have something that was a little bit more narrow. Fuck, I gotta take so much material off of this, and I'm not even touching here. Like, I haven't even got that. Can you still see it shiny behind my angle? Right there? Yeah. It's so far off that I'm not taking the material off all the way. I have to take off enough material to account for that low spot. So luckily I still had this coarse stone. I didn't think I had a stone coarse enough to really do what I wanted on this. I told the owner, I was like, if I can do it today, I will. If not, I have to order a stone, which means that's going to be more expensive. I need to order stones anyway, but like if I got to order a stone specifically for somebody's knives, yeah, guys get stuff up, and then here's the bad part. Like, this guy's not trying to do this, but there's guys that will buy a knife and they're like, oh, fuck it, I'll put a mirror edge on it with my wicked edge. And then they screw up a really expensive knife. And I'm not saying wicked edge is a good system. It has its places where it works, but this is not one of them. And the fact is, there's a lot of guys, not this guy, there's a lot of guys that'll get a knife and then they screw it up. And then they skirt around that and they put up old pictures before they did the actual screwing up of the knife and sell it at full price. And then the new owner gets the knife. I had it happen. The guy gets the knife and asks me if I can fix it. And I've had a couple come in that were so bad, couldn't fix it. Showed it to Elliot, and I was like, Elliot, what would you do in this case? And he's like, I'd have to make a new blade. That you can't fix that. That's too fucked. It's too far gone. You would have to take so much material off. That blade profile is completely changed. Luckily, this isn't that bad. This is just, but I have. And the bad thing was that customer turns around and tells me, he's like, really? He's like, I just paid fucking $800 for that knife. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can't fix it. You're basically out the cost of the shipping. I mean, I'd worked on it a little bit, and I got to a point I was like, I know, I'm looking at that scepter I bought previous. Scales. Or just blast with lots of light so you don't see the marks. I can refinish that blade for you, John. I can refix that. Scales and blade, I would add a sharpening notch, and I can blast and tumble those blades and color them whatever color they originally were. Just get in touch with me. I can take care of that. The boys do it, but since you're not the original owner, they would charge you just like I would. And Chris and I have agreed, I will not charge less than what Chris charges for the same stuff. So the only difference between having me do it, I do every heat treat, post heat treat. I do a grinding post heat treat. It's less chance of cracking and chipping. Anyway, the only difference between having Chris do it and having me do a refinish on that would be would be that it's faster. Like, I'll get your stuff done in a week. You got to remember, stuff that's coming in for warranty work, whether it's stuff you're going to pay or not, it gets kicked off to the side, and it could be a matter of months before they get a chance to actually do it. So Chris and I have agreed it's not a matter of price if I'm working on a Ferrum Forge, because I actually charge a little less for Ferrum Forges than I do, because I stick to his price structure. It's just the time frame. I can do it a lot quicker because I'm not focusing on anything else. I'll take it up on a Saturday with me, and I'll just hang out at the shop all day, and I'll just get it done. So I want to try and get these knives done today, because tomorrow is Thursday. I am going to take my mom at the shop in the morning, and I'm gonna start making a knife, and I'm probably gonna do that Thursday and Friday, and I just will call her an Uber or a Lyft to go home. Yeah, I know. I was up there yesterday. Stopped by with my mom. I had to do a couple things yesterday. I had to go drop off. I sharpened a knife for the boys. One of their customers requested an edge on a knife, so I took the knife back and hung out for a few minutes. I saw that the Mordaxes had showed, talked to Elliot a little bit, and then there we go. That's good. Fuck me. This is gonna take a while. I haven't done anything to that forward edge yet. I'm just trying to fix the low spots in this. Oh, they're bad. They're still there. I mean, I've almost got them knocked over, but it's 12 minutes on here. I've been basically working on it for 45 minutes now, I guess I would say. Because like I said, I've been working on it for a little bit by the time I brought you guys in. It's a, I don't know. I sent it to him. I talked to him. He said that he hadn't gotten a chance to look at it. I just wanted to make sure he got the email, because I've been having issues with my email too. My email's been acting weird. And so I told him, I was like, look, I sent the video. Just let me know you got the link. And he's like, yeah, I got it. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. I was like, that's fine. Just wanted to check and make sure that you had gotten the link. So 5 people. I had 11, and everyone left. So, I'm not trying to bag on you guys' Wicked Edges and Edge Pros and stuff like that. They have their place. They're good for quick touch-ups on certain things. I have an Edge Pro. I don't use it. It's still here. Oh, that's still fucking low. Oh, boy. Well, it's never going to be perfect. I can only do what I can do. I can at least smooth them out a little bit so that they're not deep grooves. Proper tools and their uses. This is not a knife for a Wicked Edge, or an Edge Pro for that matter. Still, it's like it's like there's a low spot here, a low spot here, and then a high spot in the middle. And it's, now that material's been removed, I can kind of mask it a little bit. I'm never going to be able to remove that low spot as easily as it was put in. Wow, that's a little disappointing. And my favorite Ferrum Forge production, are we talking, because they only have 2. If you're talking mass drop stuff, that's Ferrum Forge design. That's, start throw those into. I don't know. I like the Crux. I like the Buck. The Archbishop 2.0 is really nice. So, I mean, technically, if you want to go by just Ferrum Forge branded, like the Ferrum Forge brand, like their production line, um, from I'd have to say the Archbishop. If you're talking about their Ferrum Forge designs for mass drop, probably the Buck. I don't know. It's hard to pick because I like the Buck, the Crux, and the Gent. I like all three of them. So I didn't like the Dow as much. I'd have to say of all of them, that's the one that is the one that I could take it or leave it. I love my Buck. I don't think. I don't like the Dow as much. It's a weight thing too. Because they're for fundamental purposes, they're the same knife. Just one has got a cleaver-esque style, and the other is like a modified Wharncliffe. They both are modified Wharncliffes. But I think I like the forward weight of the Buck better than I like the Dow. So that would be the Dow I could take or leave it because I have the Buck. I really like my Gent. I already have a Mordax, the button lock Mordax that apparently is on drop. I didn't know it was a drop branded thing. The aluminum button lock Mordaxes, that's, I didn't like that one as much because it was light. I imagine I would like the titanium version better, but I don't have fucking $500. Like I said in this morning's video, the video I was going to do about the Chavez that I have, I didn't buy that knife. I had a knife in my collection I didn't want. And I was going to get rid of it, and Matt was like, hey, would you like to do a trade? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll do a trade for the Chavez, that Chavez Ultramar Street Redencion version. No problem trading for that. And as a matter of fact, I traded it, and I traded him that knife plus money. He paying me the additional. And then I have another knife that he wants that he's buying from me. So for those of you who are saying, why am I always asking for Patreon donations when I'm buying knives? I haven't bought a knife in a very long time. It's been a very long time. I've traded some stuff that I don't carry, that I don't use, that I don't need. And I've sold some stuff. Speaking of which, guys, I still have mystery boxes. I got like 5 mystery boxes left. No one bought those. I had one person buy them. So if you want a mystery box, I still got them. Just reach out. They're like 50 bucks. That's 50 bucks shipped, except for there's a couple of them that are going to have to go in medium flat rate boxes. And when those get ready to go out, whoever winds up with those, we'll discuss that. I don't really want to eat the additional cost of a medium flat rate. I had basically set it at 50 bucks shipped, thinking they'd all fit in small flat rates, and they really don't. So, but those would be the ones that would go last. So whoever the last people that Roger up to those, I would talk to them about that. I mean, I could always, you know what, I can eat the cost of that. 50 bucks shipped, even if it's a medium. I need to get them out of here. Got too much stuff. Too much stuff. So there's some fairly good sized fixed blades in a couple of those boxes. Guys, I don't know if you've noticed, I haven't done anything to the forward edge yet. I'm still trying to rectify this back. I called the customer just making sure he was informed it was not going to be the standard price and exactly why. And I was like, I thought I was going to have to order one of these stones. I forgot that I had this stone still. I never use it because a lot of times they're not bad enough that I need to go to a fairly coarse stone. This one is. It's requiring a lot of work. I was planning on taking my mother, my daughter, and my wife, and we were all going to go to SeaWorld this weekend so my mom could go to SeaWorld, but apparently now Isabel's got skating practice out of town. So there shits that idea. So I'll probably just work all day Sunday. So now, here's the bad part. Not only is that screwed up, typical edge or wicked edge sharpening, it is very asymmetrical, and the tip is completely rounded over. I got to reprofile the front of this. I just want to put this on a stone. Oh my, that's so thin. Just wanted to see. Oh, it's so bad. Actually, this might be a little bit easier than the last one up the forward because the fact is it's all one angle. Instead of having a bunch of shoulders to deal with, all I got to do is just take that one angle and just round it. So it's fairly flat except at the very tip. Let me show you what I'm talking about these tips that people get the angle all screwy. Let me see if I can you see that line right there that keeps showing up? See it right there? It's because that tip is kicked over, and I'm gonna have to rectify that. This side's not as bad, but it just got, because they took so much material off over here, it just got rounded over. And now you can see that that actually is lower there than it is the rest of the edge. And the edge, hey, sorry guys. The edge on this is so incredibly thin because they took it back to one angle. So it's gonna, boy, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, there's a spot where you can see that it just didn't even cut, the stone didn't even cut. But I think I've almost evened out that asymmetrical edge. We shall see. I'm on a diamond plate right now. I'm gonna do something I don't typically do. If you hang out just momentarily, I gotta get some tape. And the reason for the tape is, as we all know, I don't sharpen in normal fashion. I sharpen weird. Last time I did a Norseman, I come to the realization that when you're having to do that much extra on the forward edge, there's a chance you're gonna cut yourself. I don't do it very often with the Norseman or Tontos in general, but the fact is that's where I put my finger. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give ourselves a little safety factor here, because I don't want to cut my finger and then have to deal with that for the rest of the fucking day. Because that's how I hold it. I don't typically squeeze down onto the blade. I usually get it into the pinch of my finger and then just kind of hold it there. But every once in a while it'll slip. And last time I got myself right here, and that's how I knew it was sharp, because as calloused as my thumb is, or as my fingers are, if I cut it, it's probably pretty sharp. Oh, that is horrible. I can feel it. Oh my God. Can you guys see how low that angle? So apparently it kicked over. And so that's the same angle all the way up, but it's touching here, nothing. Touching almost all the way to, it hits this. Who else here? I mean, I'm not seeing any comments. What's everybody? What was the last? I do recognize the fact that a lot of you guys watch my videos at work. It's right here, and it's actually done, but I wanted to talk to you because the factory sharpening on it's bad enough that there's a spot right here. But I apexed it all the way down, but it's got a couple span. It is sharp too. Your connection? So it's done, but I'll send you some pictures of it, Paul, just to make sure you're cool with it, because I can always do it, but if I do anything, it's gonna be a little extra. There's some, just that weirdness from that factory grind still back at the heel. And I did put the sharpening notch in so that when you're stropping, you're not tearing your shit up by hitting that. But yeah, she's, yeah. Let me see here. It's bad. It's no good. It's no good. No me gusto. I don't like it. One of the keys to sharpening, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, and it's not a secret, it's just one of the things to make your life easier when you're sharpening. Don't use any pressure. I'm not using any pressure. I'm letting just the weight of my hand and the knife do all this work, because two things are gonna happen. Shoulders are gonna get tired, hands are gonna get tired, and then that's the first thing that's gonna happen. And the second thing that's gonna happen is you're just gonna wear your stones out. You're gonna cause undue wear on your stones that doesn't need to happen. Yeah, I gotta take some more material off on this side. This is gonna be one of those ones that I have to play back and forth and figure out what. And I need to do it on this side first, now that I've kind of rectified some stuff, because I have to, as I'm taking material off on this, when I go back to it, I'm going to move that angle back up and kind of tie things back together. My God, this is... Let me see if I got my radius edge back. I kind of do. I still need to get that tip repair fucking done. So... Guys, please, for the sake of your knives, if you've got a knife that is a unique design like this, don't just throw it up on a wicked edge. Find somebody that can do it. If it's not me, find somebody reputable. I wouldn't necessarily send it to Apostle P, because I know he uses a fixtured system, but there are freehand sharpeners out there. It doesn't have to. I want it to be me. I would love it to be me. But the fact is, for the sake of your investment into an expensive product, it's not a really expensive steel. I've talked about it before. Some people call it a garbage budget steel. I really don't think it is. It's a lot like 154 cm. 154 cm, Adam and I were talking about that the other day. A lot of people think, oh, 154 cm, well, it's more budget. It's definitely not a garbage steel. Same with the RWL 34. This thing sharpens up. It's a dream. I love RWL 34. What you're paying for in this knife isn't necessarily the fact that it's a high quality steel or super steel. What you're paying for is the machining and all that stuff that gets done. Everything about this knife was made in shop. With the exception of the ceramic balls that go into their bearing races, everything else is made in-house. You know what I mean? Even the plastic races that the bearings go in, their screws are all made in-house. Everything. So guys, if you happen to see what I'm doing, I'm trying to even out this forward edge so it's not so asymmetrical. It's still a little, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to rectify that completely. We'll try it. Wrecked him. Damn near killed him. So I've almost got it. I mean, it's it might not be perfectly true, but it's pretty true to the eye when you eyeball it. So let's see here. Give me a second, I gotta get some light on it and see. Looks fairly even to me. Ish. A little low spot. Holy Christ. So I had somebody ask me, he's like, why don't you use WD-40 on your diamond plate? Well, the fact is, I could. Why don't you use a little oil on your diamond plate? The fact is, I have WD-40 out there. I usually don't use it on much anything except when I'm cleaning adhesive off of knives and stuff like that. People send me knives that are just covered with adhesive residue and things like that. But the problem I have is I use water stones, and if I start throwing oil around here and I get oil on a water stone, it could ruin it. And I have some fairly expensive stones I don't want to ruin, so I don't use. I just use water. I've never had an issue with it. This stone's over a year old. People are like, oh, if you just use water, your stone's gonna wear out prematurely and it won't last as long. It's like, man, I've had this diamond plate. I've had this super coarse diamond plate for well over a year, and it still it just eats up the metal. Even on hard stuff like that S125B knife that I made for Matthew, and then I just finished another one the other day. So but this is basically just, we're just fixing. We're not even, we haven't even really finished fixing yet. I was thinking this would make my life easier, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this angle forward marriage point. I'm gonna push it down this way so that when I sweep it back up, I'm not with this area behind my edge that's still shiny, because it just won't be there. Because I gotta fix this anyway. Why not use it to my advantage? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? So I think we're about good enough on that right now to go ahead and move back down to the lower edge and fix. That's the really bad one. Couple reasons. This edge is way too thin, like I said, behind the edge, and it's got some flat spots. Another thing I'll tell you, I'm old and fat. Get comfortable when you're doing this. Ugh. Not as fat as my wife would like to make out. Definitely fatter than I used to be. Let's see here. Can I set the... Oh, I can't. I can't set the auto exposure. I'm sorry if this seems dark. I apologize, guys. I don't know. Hang on just a second. Let me check. I just got a text. I want to check it. So it wasn't a text, it was an email. So I'm going to try and just marry these points on this lower edge together. Yeah, that's gonna make my life a little bit easier. And it's never gonna be perfect. Like I said, once that damage is done, you can get the edge back. You can repair some of the issues, but the problem is, once it's in there, you're always gonna be able to see those little flaws. Well, with an initial sharpening. Over time they'll work their way out, as long as it's done properly from now on. But yeah, I feel bad for the guy, because what's up? Huh. What, did you mention my name when you talked to Brian? So let's see. I have a stone that's one coarser. I might need to resort to it for this. I don't know yet. But like I said, I only take these to, it's actually about, when you factor in the stropping and everything, I like to say they're just about 2,000 grit when I do these knives, but on the steel, it comes out. It's gorgeous. Oh yeah, Brian did talk about the void in that video when we were in Vegas. Almost married that back together. Once that's a full clean marriage point and that tip is completely done, then I'm going to start actually sharpening and stop repairing. Just was trying to make my life a little easier at this point, considering it's been 36 minutes and I had already worked on it I've been working on this knife for over an hour, trying to do the repair. So, but I told the guys, like, I can't charge. Like, I can normally do between 2 and 4 knives an hour. That's between $50 and $100 an hour. I can't charge him what it's actually going to be worth. He won't be able to pay it. It's looking better, but it's not perfect. So I feel bad when people either, one, get a really expensive knife and then they put it on a Wicked Edge or an Edge Pro and then they screw it up. If it's a matter of finish, you can always fix that. There's a lot of times you can fix a finish option or a finish issue. But it's the guys I really feel bad about are the guys that get got because somebody screws something up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on a Wicked Edge. Somebody could have tried anodizing and screwed it up or tried to do something. I've seen people heat color blades and I'm like, dude, that's what you look for when you're grinding so you know that you didn't screw up. You know, that's not what you want. You don't want that straw color on that or blue. Like for fucking screws, put it in a bronzing plate. And do your screws. That's fine. The screws aren't going to be that big of a deal. It's these guys that put the steel blades on a bronzing plate and turn it that straw or that plum color. And I'm like, if you're grinding a knife and you see that color, that means you burnt that edge a little bit. If you do that the whole blade, there's a good chance that your temper's fucked. But guys will do shit like that and then turn around and sell that knife for what they paid for it. And I'm sure some of them aren't doing it on purpose. I'm sure some of them don't even really realize that the amount of damage they've caused to that blade. Like, oh, what's the matter? It's sharp. Yeah, does it look like it did when you bought it? If it doesn't, you can't sell it for that much. You can't sell it for what you paid for it if you've done something to it and it doesn't look like it used to. A pretty knife, any knife I would sell that I'd been carrying, like if I was to decide, I wouldn't do it, but if I decided to sell my Sebenza, I'd ask the customer, I was like, do you want it to look exactly like it did when it came to me? Or do you want me to redo what I've done to it the way it looks for me? And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be selling an $800 knife for $800. Now, if you can put the work into it and get it back up to where it was, I don't think anybody should sell a used knife for what they paid for it, ever. But you can definitely make your customer a little happier if you can provide them something that just basically looks new in box. I keep all the packages for all my knives because if I ever decide to sell them, I'm pretty sure somebody would like to have the original package. That's about as rectified as it's going to get. talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. Think of any questions you got, and I'll scroll through them. I don't know if anybody still looks over function. Yeah, a lot of people wind up with that. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. This needs to go back inside. Just need a cup of coffee. I'm coming, guys. I'm coming. Hold up. I'm back. That coffee's like 2 hours cold. Mm-hmm. It's room temperature. It's a little colder than room temperature because I put creamer in it. So, anybody come up with any questions? Nope. But I know you guys like the sharpening videos, and so I decided that I would just go ahead and see what my day looked like. You know what? I know it's in here somewhere. No, it's not. That's right, it broke. I forgot. I don't have a coarser stone for this, but this is gonna work. It's just gonna take me a little bit longer. This stone just isn't as coarse as I want it to be for what I'm doing, but it will work. It's just gonna take me a little bit longer. So. Somebody just texted me. Oh, I've got a package coming today. So I'm going to today, as soon as I finish this knife, I've got a bunch of email stuff to do regarding dealing with Wii knives in China and a couple other things. But when I get done with that, I'm going to finish editing my daughter's ice skating video from Sunday, so you guys can see it. And I'm not even gonna put in my video. I'm just gonna put in, we bought the professionally videotaped. This is a big competition. This is one where they have the kiss and cry. It's where they sit with the coaches and they sit there and they're happy about their scores and they read off the scores while they sit there. We get that at this competition. We buy it because that's something she's going to be able to have. So as much as I complain about money, there are certain things that I will still expend money on. That's just one of those things. Like she doesn't get school pictures. She doesn't get a yearbook. She's not interested in that. This is the equivalent of that for her. So hang on a second, guys. I got to do this forward and see. 400. Where's my two? There it is. 220. So I must check this and make sure that I've removed the scratch pattern adequately the way I want on this. So I'm just going to go up to a finer grit and just check this scratch pattern and see what's not getting removed, because that would indicate a low spot, and it doesn't appear that I really have one at this point. It looks like I pretty much got all of that. I really thought that forward edge was going to be much more of a chore than it is. It's not a super convex like it normally would be, but it's fairly convexed over. I tried. Don't cut yourself. This is just a quick, how much more work has to be done on this forward leading edge test before I switch stones. And it's to marry those angles back up a little cleaner. This side looks Looks like it still needs a little bit of work. But we can do that on this stone. This stone is still coarse enough to do the work I need to do. So, what's in everybody's pockets? I'll show you what's in mine. It's been in my pocket for a while now. I'm not seeing any. How'd my daughter do? She took first. She took first by a hefty margin. And second place was her good friend Elise, which I was really happy about. So they don't get to see each other very often. They live out of San Diego. They're not a San Diego family. And so my daughter gets to see her. We got there, she skated, results came out, and then my daughter basically just hung out with her and volunteered at the ice rink so that she could hang out with her little friend Elise, who took second. They have a good friendship. Elise had a bad skate here, a couple competitions ago. She had just a bad day. And she just had a bad day, and so Isabel came off the ice, and Elise went up and was crying because she didn't skate the way she wanted to. And I heard my daughter go, I'm gonna go up and talk to Elise. She doesn't look like, and my daughter just decided to do that. And comforted her and told her, it's like, you know what, it's you know what happens. So, and the other thing too is she doesn't really have friends that aren't skaters. Like, she has friends at school, a couple of friends at school, but all of her time, that most of the kids, they make friends and then they hang out after school and things like that. My daughter doesn't do that. My daughter goes to the ice rink, and that's where she stays. That's where she hangs out. So the friends that she has are basically just all fellow skaters. So, you know, guys that played football, they were friends with the football players. Guys that ran track, they were friends with track players, but my daughter doesn't really have that. So she's friends with the other skaters. But the problem is, a lot of them are overseas. My mother bought my daughter a laptop, which has been one of the coolest things for her, because now she can stay in touch with her friends. Because when we got it, I set her up an email. She got a MacBook Air, or an AirBook, or whatever the hell it's called. And so that means that now she can keep in touch with her friends, because most of her friends have iPhones. And so she can iMessage from that. And I tied her phone that we basically use as a, I let her have a phone, but it's basically a, and stuff like that. And so they stay in touch via Instagram, Snapchat, and now text. So that's pretty cool, because now so now what I'm doing is I stepped up a grit. I don't think I'm done on this. I think I'm gonna find some spots that are still low, where this stone just isn't touching. Maybe a little, but not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I might be able to just continue the 400 grit on this inner recurve and then be done with the 400 grit. You see this side. So, you know, I've told you guys this before. A lot of times what'll happen is the grit from the previous stone is coarse enough that it'll get down into the lower spots, because it stands up tall enough that it'll hit them and it masks low spots. And so there's times where you will go to a higher grit and then see spots that you're like, oh crap, that's the original scratch, or that's the previous stone scratch pattern. Because that grit is fine enough, it can't get up into that low spot. But I have one little spot, and I think this is still abrasive enough. We'll see. I'm gonna give it a couple more passes, and if I don't see it go away, I will drop back down in grit. So I'll give it a couple more passes here. And I'm gonna tell the customer, I was like, this isn't a full repair. These things that are wrong with this knife will have to be taken care of, because just taking all this material off all at once, it doesn't make sense. This knife, a couple of reasons. If the knife's already sharp and you're just doing it for aesthetics, you're detracting from the life of the knife, like I said in the last video, or you, you can run it where like you wind up. So 50 minutes. I'm only gonna do this for this hour. Just let's we'll give it like 10 more minutes and then I'll close out. But you guys can stick around if you want. But we'll look. Let's take a look and see what I'm talking about, what I've gotten so far. Let's see if it looks better to you guys, because it definitely looks better to me. Let me turn you around here, guys. So you can see he got into the heel of this, and so there's a low spot. There's still a small low spot here, but I've apexed it, and that will over time go away. And there's a tiny, tiny little low spot right there and right here. But they're not in the sharpening area. So I've taken care of all of the little inconsistencies. I've reconvexed this. It's nowhere near as thin behind the edge as it was, which that's the way it's supposed to be, is a little thicker behind the edge, and convexed over. So that should help that edge hold. And then this is good. This is fairly sharp already. So I'm gonna keep you guys with me for the next 10 minutes, something like that, till I just get tired of doing it live. Because now I'm gonna get into the honing here shortly. I just have to do the 400 grit on that forward edge. So we'll get into that honing, and then I'm just gonna cut you guys away when I do it. So now I'm still paying close attention to where these marry from one side to the other, because I want it to be consistent. That, like I said, that does affect edge geometry. It's not just an aesthetic. That affects the cutting at that point. If you don't line that up, it rolls. That point will roll so much easier than it would if it's. There we go. That's nice and consistent. So, matter of fact, guys, I'm gonna end it here because I need to go in and make a phone call. I just realized that I have not called that lady about the pictures yet. So we had an issue with the pictures that got taken. They gave us some of her friends' pictures, because they do. The two girls look so much alike. The girl Elise, they look so much alike that when she did the solo pictures for the awards, that they sent us the pictures of Elise. Like we have the podium, but the picture of her just by herself holding her trophy wound up being Elise. So I need to take care of that. So guys, Paul, I will get with you on this. I do have to charge you a little bit extra, not much on this, because I had to do some heavy reprofiling if you're still watching. If not, well, I mean, I'll talk to you about it if you're on here, Paul. You guys take it easy. I will try to get a video up if I can today. It depends on how far along I get with this and some of the other stuff. So, guys, take it easy. I love you all. Seriously, I love you guys. I love the fact that you guys are willing to sit with me for an hour during your work day and just watch me sharpen a knife. So, you guys take it easy. If you want to help support my daughter's skating, I will try to get a link in the description below. I'm going to do that all the time. I don't give a fuck if the hater thinks I'm begging. If he had any idea how expensive skating was, he wouldn't try to figure out why I'm trying to get money for my GoFundMe. And if you guys want me to go up to Petaluma and up to Tim Reeve, hang out with Tim Reeves up at Chris Reeve Knives for a day or so, I might have to drive up there. It would be something that the Patreon would help out with. So just something to keep in mind, guys. For content, costs more money. I'll talk to y'all later.